The road to WrestleMania 42 rolled through Seattle last night with a jam-packed episode featuring matches which showcase of the Immortals' implications. Who emerged as the number one contender to AJ Lee's Women's Intercontinental Championship? Was Rusev able to slow down the unstoppable force that is Obafemi? And was Penta's Intercontinental Championship reign a one-week wonder? Find out now with this recap of the show featuring ratings and analysis from last night's Netflix broadcast. Hey there, welcome everybody to Ridiculously Raw, the most must-see show on YouTube and Streamy.com today. I am your host, Anthony Floyo, joined as always by good old MF Michael Fletcher. Get right to the action here. Monday Night Raw live last night, Arena in Seattle, Washington, the home of the NHL Seattle Kraken. And we started it off. Raw General Manager Adam Pearce called out Seth freaking Rollins to kick off the show. After some theatrics with a dozen other masked men, Rollins joined him in the squared circle. Pearce implored Rollins not to go to war with the Vision, especially since he is only 5 months removed from surgery and not yet cleared to compete. Before Rollins could respond, Logan Paul and Austin Theory interrupted. They cut a generic heel promo threatening to end Rollins, but missed out on attacking him thanks to the return of the masked men. LA Knight hit the ring, followed by the Usos, and the faces beat down the heels, leaving them to scurry to the sanctuary of the arena floor. Yeah, the Rollins shenanigans with the masked men was way too much. The visual representation of overkill. The Visionary did not have to come out to his standard entrance and could have entered unmasked in black via the crowd without all the nonsense. The Usos and Knights' involvement ensured some physicality at the top of the show, but we have seen the three of them interact with the heels so frequently over the last 5 or so months that it feels like lather, rinse, repeat at this point. Lackluster start to the show and one that never hit, like last week's Red Hot opening segment. Gauntlet match. The 6-woman gauntlet match to determine who would be the first challenger for AJ Lee and her Women's Intercontinental Championship. The first two out, Lyra Valkyria and Io Sky. Io Sky winning that match in 9 minutes and 20 seconds. And then 6 minutes, about a good 6 minutes and 45 seconds later, Raquel Rodriguez was the next participant. Raquel eliminates Io Sky. Liv Morgan did just enough, even though Stephanie Vaquer wins it. Total time after these two were 16 minutes and 5 seconds. And then in 55 seconds, Ivy Nile pins Io Sky because Raquel Rodriguez attacked Io Sky after getting eliminated by Io. So Io eliminated Raquel, and then Io was eliminated by Ivy. Total time of 17 minutes even. And then in roughly 11 minutes even, Bayley was the next entrant. Bayley eliminates Ivy Nile. Total time so far of this was 28 minutes even. And then the final entrant was Asuka. 9 minutes elapsed in their match, and the winner of the gauntlet in a total time of an even 37 minutes. And the first challenger for AJ Lee in the Women's Intercontinental Championship, it's Bayley. Bayley defeats Asuka in an even 37 minutes of total gauntlet time. We know how tricky these are to rate. But if I'm going to be honest with you, this was really good. Giving us Io Sky versus Lyra Valkyria to start the gauntlet, then putting a commercial break right in the middle of it. Nasty work. Liv Morgan, inadvertently or not, created a distraction that led to Raquel losing, only continuing the narrative that she is toying with Big Mommy Cool's career and keeping her a notch below in the hierarchy since returning. Ivy Nile shown in her one fall against Bayley, but WWE Creative really needs to find a way to build her some momentum because every time she has a promising performance, she disappears from TV with no rhyme or reason. Bayley and Asuka have remarkable in-ring chemistry dating back to their days in NXT. Yet despite what feels like an endless string of matches, they have competed against each other in singles competition just 7 times across all brands. And Bayley versus AJ Lee is the kind of match the latter's return to the squared circle is all about. The role model idolized her and has been open about wanting this dream match. Next week, In San Antonio, we get it in one of those bouts that once felt impossible. But nonetheless, if I had to put a rating on this, it's very tough to rate, but I'm gonna give it a try here. I'm gonna say in excess of 3.5 to 4 stars. This was very well done. This was a very entertaining gauntlet, and you could have made an argument for any of them. But Bayley, I think, is the perfect first challenger for AJ Lee, and we're gonna see that next week, San Antonio. So 3.5 to 4, I think that's the correct rating for it. So not much more. MF, come on in. Gauntlet match to start it all off, and Bayley gets the golden ticket. She wins the gauntlet. Total time an even 37 minutes. Bayley and AJ for the gold next week in San Antonio.
Yeah, never an easy thing to call, but this was a really good matchup, to say the very least. And to me, I'm not mad with the person who won the match. So I was gonna say that honestly, I kind of feel the same way. 3.5 stars is my rating. For Bayley to win this is an awesome victory for her. Up to this point, one of the biggest wins, and I think a lot of people have been waiting for Bayley to really have a breakout moment. And now, not only does she get a breakout moment, but now she gets the biggest moment of her career as she gets to face off with the Intercontinental Champion AJ Lee in a, like you said, in a once in a lifetime matchup that we're going to get to see next week on Monday Night Raw. This is going to be a great matchup, and really nothing more to say. So, yeah, Anthony, it's yours. Let's move on.
Yeah, and we do move on. Just bear with me for just a moment because I have to look up a time here. So bear with me for just a moment. Okay. Penta defending the Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship just 1 week after winning it from Dominic Mysterio. He defended against it was supposed to be the original El Grande Americano, but he got cursed by Danhausen. So original El Grande Americano out. The imposter El Grande Americano, he gets the title shot. He swooped in and took the title shot. Winner of the match, 10 minutes and 37 seconds, and still the Intercontinental Heavyweight Champion. It is Penta. So, MF, original El Grande Americano, he was supposed to get the shot. Your boy Danhausen cursed him, and well, it looked like he got attacked by Rayo and Bravo Americano, setting up El Grande Americano to get the title shot. But regardless of all that, Penta overcomes it. Successful first title defense in 10:37.
Yeah, and this was a necessary thing. Look, I know a lot of people are going to be complaining about the story and the whole 9 yards, but I kind of feel like it's more than fine. This was a good outcome. This was a good matchup, and obviously they're trying to protect, with everything else. But I will say this: the storyline says its story. With everything that's been going on, and with everything that we've been looking at, all of a sudden you see El Grande Americano, and you're like, okay, that's fine, and everything else. I love the fact that they're using Danhausen, and this is the way that they're doing it by having him kind of be the foil. That if there's somebody that maybe he puts a curse on, that means you're gonna see something altered or anything else. You saw with Dominic Mysterio, he got cursed, he lost the Intercontinental title. The Miz got threatened with a curse. But it looks like we'll see how that plays out. I feel like the way that they're manipulating this, WWE kind of knew what they were doing, and now we're starting to see it actually makes sense. This, if you step back for a moment and see the way of the land, the way that is being laid out, you would think this is ridiculous. There's no way this is going to work. WWE and Danhausen himself has gotten himself so over right now. Believe it or not, Anthony Floyo, Danhausen is the number one merchandise thing on WWEshop.com right now. Like, he has become an instant fan favorite, and people loves the gimmick. Now, again, Danhausen got booed at the beginning of Survivor, at the pay-per-view. The entrance wasn't so great, and I'll give that. But since he debuted, when he showed up on Raw the first time, basically causing Adam Pearce to say he needed a drink. But it seems like every time he comes out, he gets better and better and better. The character gets better. The way of the land is better. You heard the pop last night when he showed up, to do that scene with the original El Grande Americano. I'm telling you, this is a blessing in disguise. And now WWE is realizing, hey, we might have gold on our hands. And they're playing their cards correctly. So I love it. I love the gimmick. And so it's been funny. But at the end, El Grande Americano gets the opportunity. But Penta once again rises to the occasion. Another 3.5-star bout. And Anthony, as we would say, the champion is still the champion.
Indeed he is. And competitive back and forth match that highlighted the in-ring chemistry between these two. Americano had him reeling more than once at one point and used his power advantage to deliver a spine buster there. Penta's energy is infectious. He cut an inspirational promo about his title win last week, but he is so charismatic and likable that it works in a way that it would not for others. The heel Americano strutting in and taking over the OG's title opportunity was on brand, considering he straight up stole the gimmick the moment the original suffered an injury and disappeared from television. Penta winning a match against an opponent he was not ready for, beating him cleanly, is exactly the type of victory that babyfaces on TV should be getting. On a roster full of popular superstars, he might be the best pure babyface on the roster right now. So, 3.25, teetering on 3.5 for this. I agree with that. A strong video package featuring Women's World Champion Stephanie Vaquer aired, putting over her match with Liv Morgan at WrestleMania, and that, at least in her mind, she sees more in her opponent than the Royal Rumble winner sees in herself. Enraged after losing his Intercontinental Championship last week, Dominic Mysterio hit the ring, flanked by Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez, and called out Finn Balor, blaming him for the loss. The former Universal Champion, flanked by JD McDonough, made his way to the ring to confront Dirty Dom. He told Dominic that he had spent years trying to protect him, but sometimes one has to learn how to fight one's own battles. He said that maybe he was right about his son, that he was a spoiled little bleep that earned him a cheap shot from Dirty Dom, and the brawl was on from there. Inevitably, McDonough betrayed his mentor and friend, joining the Judgment Day in a 4-on-1 beatdown of the Prince, even utilizing the Timekeeper's hammer and a steel chair to lay out Finn Balor. The remnants of Judgment Day stood tall over their fallen leader to close out the segment. When asked by Liv Morgan backstage if he wanted her and Rodriguez to accompany him to the ring, tough guy Dom said, of course. The second-generation wrestler is the prototypical cowardly heel, and he pulls off the role perfectly. JD McDonough turning on Finn Balor was the one moment that could have been better sold by the commentary team, given how instrumental the latter was and has been on JD's career. If Triple H and the creative team can build on this, they may have an incredibly hot mid-card match on tap for WrestleMania. The history is plentiful, the characters involved are over, and the crowd ate this up. It helped that Finn Balor had been reheated through his World Heavyweight Championship feud with CM Punk. So, of course, when it comes to this show here, I mean, normally 9 times out of 10, we don't talk about promo segments, but we only talk about promo segments if they're interesting or if they have some sort of storyline progression, that is. and we got more than that here. I can honestly say this was maybe, you can make an argument for segment of the night. You could also make an argument for second, because there's another segment that's also worth getting into, and we're going to get into that in a little bit. But the implosion of the Judgment Day has been long rumored for quite some time, and last night we finally got the drop. So yeah, there's no doubt about this. So MF, I mean, what an incredible segment here. Finn Balor officially excommunicated from the Judgment Day. He's been 86th. You got Dominic, you got JD, you got Liv, you got Raquel. Of course, you've also got Roxanne when she comes back from her injury or illness or whatever's going on with her. We wish her the best in whatever it is. So
yeah, it's a back issue with Roxanne. She's going to be out for a little while.
Damn shame.
We don't know how long it's going to be, but yeah, Roxanne Perez. They said it's some kind of a contusion in the back, and it's a pretty serious one. So yeah, they said it's pretty serious. She did offer an update about a week ago, and they're saying that she's probably going to be it's going to be a while before she gets back. They even said don't expect her to be back by Mania. Do not expect her to be back by Mania. So she's gonna be out
for her. We wish her the best.
She's gonna be out for a little bit.
We wish her the best in her recovery. But the big story here, though, Finn Balor out of the Judgment Day. There's no doubt about it. We're getting Finn and Dominic at WrestleMania. I don't think there's any doubt about this now. And oh, by the way, Michael Bullock and I, we had our Raw chat last night, and we ate this segment up. And as soon as it was over, Bullock hit me with those magic words: "The demon is coming."
Well, we'll see if the demon is coming or not. I will say this is going to be very interesting to see. Look, it was necessary. This was the perfect storyline. This was the perfect hook. We kind of felt like this was going to happen sooner rather than later, and now they pulled the trigger. So we're now looking at the rumor was that Finn was going to be a baby face, that Dom was most likely going to be the heel, and now we got it. So it's going to be very interesting to watch how this plays out. But this was beautifully done all the way around. So yeah, no arguments here. This was definitely, at least for me, I felt like it was the segment of the night. So Anthony, it's yours.
This next match here had potential to be something really special, but unfortunately, it ended up being somewhat of a delicious squash. Rusev versus Obafemi. Obafemi wins the match in only 3 minutes and 5 seconds. I'll tell you, Rusev looked like a world beater at points, finding success against Femi that others had not thus far in his main roster run. Sure, they may not want him in meaningless matches and angles if WrestleMania is not in his future, but he is too good not to be utilized more consistently. Femi overcoming an early onslaught showed the WWE Universe a new side of himself, proving he can win beyond just obliterating the competition in short order. Match itself was exactly what it needed to be and was executed to perfection. But, it is what it is. There's only 3 minutes, so by default, the worst fight of the night. We're not going to waste too much time on that. And then we wrap it up with the World Heavyweight Champion, CM Punk, hitting the ring for what is becoming a weekly main event promo segment. The best in the world said Roman Reigns has never respected him, but he will make him at WrestleMania. His presence alone makes everyone level up, he said, but he admitted that he sank to Reigns' level last week by mentioning his father, Wild Samoan Sika. The Usos cut him off and demanded an apology, to which Punk asked why Reigns is still sending his cousins to do his heavy lifting. That remained a theme for the rest of the promo, during which Punk recalled his history with the Anawahi family, including working for AFA in Allentown, Pennsylvania for knowledge, a meal, and a roof over his head. Despite Jimmy and Jay's demands for an apology, Punk instead said, "I'm sorry," for Reigns not apologizing to the family that he had disrespected and treated like garbage for years. he added one last jab, calling the Usos young boys before catching a microphone to the head from Jimmy Uso. Whoa. All right, MF. Whoa. Ho, ho, ho. The road to WrestleMania has mostly been a boring one, but this is far and away the only thing, right, as of right now, this is the only thing that truly feels like WrestleMania. This is
WrestleMania
becoming
worthy.
must-see television every week. And next week in
Yeah.
San Antonio, you better believe the tribal chief is going to have a rebuttal.
And the thing is that Punk is playing with fire now. He is absolutely playing with fire. And I hate to say this, the way this is going, he's going to end up getting burned. He may lose the title at WrestleMania. And the thing is it possible that we could see the resurrection of the bloodline? I mean, the way this is going, the way that Punk is poking at Roman through his father, it looks like we may absolutely possibility get the resurrection of the bloodline. And if that happens,
oh boy,
I think it is not gonna end good for the Second City Savior, because he is really, really, really poking the bear now. And because you had Jimmy and Jay saying, look, and at the beginning, they were saying this had nothing to do with Roman. This had nothing to do with Roman. You went after, one of ours, and he's no longer here. He is beyond us. He's in the grave. So that's why they were asking for the apology. And I will openly admit, if anybody dragged any member of my family who's no longer here and dragged their name through the mud, you sure as hell better be freaking apologizing for what you said. So I totally got and understood the Usos' thing. They totally did. For Punk to double down and say what he said, to try to turn it into a way that for Roman and for what he said was very shrewd, very interesting, and you could even say in an aspect or not that maybe Punk does have a point. Punk could be right about everything he said about Roman Reigns and how Roman kind of never really cared about the family. He could be right. But you played a little too close to the fire. You got a little too you were like Icarus. You got too close to the sun, and the Usos snuffed you out for it. So this was a very strong segment to end Monday Night Raw. Very good job. Anthony, I mean, to me, unfortunately, I'm not going to call segment of the night, but this was definitely the second best segment of the night. But this was a real proper way to end Raw. And this was a red hot way to close Raw. This was really done. This was done very well. And I got to say, and I'll say this quickly, I wasn't buying anything Jay said, but Jimmy Uso made this segment perfect because he was so level-headed and actually he was the perfect guy to talk sense into Punk. I thought Jay was a little too hot-headed, but Jimmy was better in his promo from the Usos than Jay was. My personal opinion.
CM Punk reminding the world that the World Heavyweight Championship was created because Roman Reigns did not defend the undisputed WWE Universal Championship was a nice touch. And MF, you nailed it. Jimmy Uso was outstanding here. Whereas Jey Uso brought the animated anger, his brother was calm, spoke logically, and with respect toward Punk, which carried more gravity. This was an outstanding show closing segment. Punk is following the playbook on how to beat Reigns. He made the comment about Sika, which got into the OTC's head. Now he has the Usos doubting their cousin by reopening old wounds. We know there is success to be had against the tribal chief by playing mind games with him. Ask Seth Rollins. Imagine the irony if Punk beats Reigns by using the strategy of his greatest enemy. Think about that. There was not an abundance of wrestling on this 2.5 hour show, but a large portion of what was here belonged to the Raw Women's division. Bayley, Asuka, Ivy Nile, Io Sky, Raquel Rodriguez, and Lyra Valkyria delivered a gauntlet match that featured the ultimate goal of earning a shot at AJ Lee in the Women's Intercontinental Championship, while housing other ongoing stories. From Liv Morgan's continued subtle screwing of Raquel Rodriguez to Kairi Zane's role in Asuka's loss, not to mention some truly strong wrestling in between. This was an excellently executed bout that set up a big-time dream match of sorts between Bayley and AJ Lee for next week. As has been the case for the last year, the women came through big time with the best performances of the night. This was not as strong as last week's show, but there was a lot to like here. From Penta's victory in the match that preceded it, to the long-awaited Judgment Day split, to the show-closing angle that reintroduced the Bloodline event of WrestleMania. This had a little bit of everything, even if it may not have been presented as a more dynamic episode. Throw in the aforementioned women's gauntlet match and a big night for Obafemi, and you have a steady building block episode of the flagship. Somewhere in excess of 7.5 to 8 out of 10 for this. Not much more to add on. So, MF, let's get a quick thought from you here. Overall thought that is, and then we'll quickly get into NXT here.
7.5 out of 10. Total agreement with everything you said. The show was solid. Very good. Yes, segments kind of was the story of the night. There was very little on action, but I thought the gauntlet was really well done. Yes, I know a lot of people were a little disappointed with Obafemi versus Rusev, but it was definitely fine for what it was worth. And then a Grande Americano versus Penta was actually a solid matchup. But again, the two big stories that we're going to be talking about, Seth freaking Rollins finally making his return in ring with the Adam Pearce thing. I thought that was finally done. That was done pretty well. Then we had that other the segment and then the two big segments of the night, the Judgment Day blow up and then CM Punk with the Usos. Those are going to be the ones that's going to carry the night more than anything else. And I thought they did a real good job. So 7.5 out of 10. Let's get into NXT.
The fallout from Vengeance Day, and we started with the new Women's North American Champion, Tatum Paxley, cutting a promo, interrupted by Izzy Dame, and these two went at it throughout the entire night. And next week in Houston, Izzy Dame will get her rematch for the Women's North American Championship against Tatum Paxley. However, it will be inside the confines of a 15-foot-high steel temper cage. What? Oh. Mr. Stone, you have done it again, brother. You've done it again. I'll tell you what, he's starting to grow on me. He's starting to. He's starting to win me over, man. Starting to win me over. So keep making good matches like this, and who knows? We'll see what happens. So meaningless segment, but they did brawl throughout the show, and Mr. Stone, like I said, had enough, and he said next week Izzy gets a rematch. We're gonna put it inside a steel cage. Wow. Okay. Triple threat matchup: Jasper Troy versus Eli Knight versus Sean Legacy. We saw something that has not been seen since the Breakdown in Your House event in September of 1998. Two men pinning the other. You remember Stone Cold Steve Austin was pinned was pinned by both The Undertaker and Kane and lost the title. And that visual of Vince McMahon, we all know the visuals at the end of that event, September of '98. Where I'm getting that is Shawn Legacy and Eli Knight both pinned Jasper Troy. Double pin in 12 minutes and 19 seconds. I'm going to be honest with you. Going into this match, I had no high hopes. I really did not. But, this ended up being the sleeper fight of the night. This was easily 3.5 stars. I could have gone higher, but the double pin, it's not gonna be for everybody. But yeah, very good match though. I mean, great near falls, great spots. Keanu Carver got involved. He went after Jasper Troy. There's definitely going to be a man fight with those two down the line. And, but man, oh man, I mean, I cannot believe we ended up getting a double pin. So 3.5 stars though. The match was too good. I'm not going to punish it severely, but if it wasn't for that double pin, who knows? Maybe I could have gone higher for this. But 3.5 stars, sleeper fight of the night, excellent match, bad ending. So MF a double pin for the first time since Taker and Kane on Stone Cold Breakdown '98. Wow, 12-19.
3.5 stars, definitely. Double pin, little interesting that they went down that route, but at the end of the day, it was fun for what it was worth, so I can't be too mad about it. So yeah, Anthony, it's yours.
Okay, Tavion Heights and Charlie Dempsey squaring off against Lexis King and Uriah Connors. They had Channing Stacks Lorenzo and the TNA Knockouts champion Ariana Grace in their corner. Winners of the match in 4 minutes and 44 seconds, Lexis King and Uriah Connors. Charlie Dempsey turns on Tavion Heights. It looked like they were all buddy, NQCC reunion, all this good stuff. You noticed Charlie turned. When he turned around, who did he see behind him? He saw his father, William Regal, and Uriah Connors' father, David Fit Finley, a.k.a. Finley. Charlie saw them, and he immediately turns on Tavion Heights, and Charlie Dempsey has now joined this faction with Lexis King, Uriah Connors, Stacks, and Ariana. From what I'm hearing, the name of this faction is going to be Birthright. That's the name of the faction. It's Birthright. And which makes sense because, now I don't know about Channing Stacks Lorenzo, but we all know Ariana Grace, the daughter of Santino Marella, Lexis King, the son of the late great Brian Pillman, Uriah Connors, the son of Finley, and Charlie Dempsey, the son of Mr. Regal. So that's why you call him Birthright. So 444, obviously not much to talk about in ways of the match. It was probably about a 2.25, 2.5 teetering right around, I guess. But man, MF, I mean, Regal and Finley side by side.
Yeah.
The only standout moment.
Whoever would have thought we would see them. And here's the other thing. Was this supposed to have been David Finley? Was this supposed to have been his moment? Because think about it. David Finley was a free agent, and WWE was trying to get him so bad to join the company, and they told him that if you're going to start, we're going to start you in NXT. And I know a lot of people were like, why? This is why they wanted him. I'll bet you anything, Birthright was gonna be Finley's group. This is why they wanted him, because they wanted it to reunite the Finley brothers together with their father, Regal with his son, and to have all that together as a super group powerhouse of a stable on NXT. There's no doubt in my mind this was the route that they were going to go. And if you're a fan of professional wrestling, now you got to feel is what could have been if David Finley did not sign with AEW. But even though the War Dogs is dangerous, they are a powerhouse. So I understand why the War Dogs is running AEW right now and doing what they're doing, because trust me, I've seen the War Dogs and they are terror. They terrorized New Japan Pro Wrestling. And this is why everything went down. David Finley had a choice of either going to WWE or going to AEW. He ended up going to AEW because WWE said, if you're gonna join us, you're gonna start in NXT. We're not gonna call you up to the main roster. Here's the reason why. Because they wanted it to do Birthright. And let me tell you, to get Charlie Dempsey with this group solidifies them. This actually is a great move. And now you got two guys like Mr. William Regal and Finley himself. These are two men that if they played this right, and if this is a good story, if you play your cards right, maybe add more second generational guys to this group, I'm telling you, this may be the start of the next great stable in professional wrestling. And I know that is high praise coming from me. But again, keyword, if they do this correctly, that's the one thing I'm hinging on, is that they do this right. As far as the match goes, yeah, it's a wash. It's about 2 stars, and you can say whatever you want. But for Birthright to succeed, you have a nice start. Then you have Finley and Regal working together. I'm telling you guys, this may be the start of a really good thing that could take over NXT for 2026. They could. But again, it needs to be worked correctly. All right, Anthony, back to you.
All right, Tony D comes out and cuts a promo. He said when he returned to NXT, he said he had 2 reasons. The first was Dark State, and he finished that on at Vengeance Day. He said he went to war with Dion Lennox. He said while he hates Dion went down on his shield. Tony D said he's going to talk about reason 2. He said he contemplated his future while on hiatus. He said he looked at the man in the mirror and noticed that the man couldn't accomplish one thing. He said in that moment he buried the old Tony D and came back the man who proved he's the toughest SOB in NXT. Tony D said his second reason is to win the NXT championship. Tony D said Joe Hendry might be a sensation in NXT, and he has no problem with Joe. He said the old Tony D would ask Joe to sit down and break bread at a restaurant. But this Tony D is not afraid to break faces in. Tony D said he's warning Joe that he will not be denied, and Tony D'Angelo will be the next NXT champion. Dare I say, main event of Stand and Deliver?
I think so. I would go with that too. Yeah.
Could definitely see it. The only downside is it's less than a month away, so let's hope they do as much storytelling and storyline progression as possible in this short amount of time.
Yes.
Okay. And speaking of Joe Hendry, he was in a backstage segment with Miles Bourne, also featuring a couple of baby girls that MF and I are very much into, Ren Sinclair and the Evolve Women's
Mhm.
Champion Kendall Gray. And yeah, I
I
mean,
gotta
did you?
say, Kendall, you absolutely stole this segment because
Yes,
and
yes,
I'll say Ren Sinclair also very good. You know, it was the infamous they just to give a little bit of a rundown. So he was looking for Joe Hendry, and Ren's like, I got you, I got you. She says Joe Hendry's name. She thought he was gonna be inside the refrigerator because he was there once before.
yes,
And
he
this
was.
time he snuck up from behind, and she's like, so he's like, what? And Dion and his partner's like, where were you the whole time? He's like, don't worry, I was just trying to. I had some business to attend, but don't worry. The rest of the night, it's you and me. We'll work together. Yeah, let's strategize because we do have a match tonight. So let's strategize. I'm telling you right now, the best thing was Ren Sinclair getting all hyped up because she does have a speed match,
He does.
but
Oh, Kendall.
again, the Kendall, the evil champion, is stuffing her face with some little cake. Trust me, baby girl. If if that was like a vanilla cake and that looked like that was vanilla,
Yup.
I would be joining you with that cake.
Would I?
The only thing is, I'm not really a hands type person on a cake. I rather
No.
do it the proper way with the plate, with the fork, and then digging in. Like, dude, I laughed so hard when I saw her doing that. I'm like, oh, baby girl.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, you may have been laughing, but I was
Oh,
mesmerized.
you were loving. You were loving. I just could. It's one of those moments, just like I just couldn't help but to laugh at that moment. It's one of those. It's like, oh man.
For me, yeah, you may have had the emoji with the laughing face and the tears probably, but
Oh
for
no,
me,
I wasn't doing that.
okay, this may be a simple laughing emoji, but for me, it was the hearts in the eyes. Hearts in
Oh
the
yeah,
eyes. No doubt about that. That was wow. I was like, okay, go get you some. Go get you some, mama. Get you
yeah.
some.
She was enjoying that cake. She even said she wasn't even in a match, so she was gonna. Yeah,
She could get
I
away with
don't
it.
blame her. I don't blame her.
Oh, indeed. But anyways, back to the serious business at hand here. Sol Ruka squaring off against Laney Reed. Laney had fatal influence in her corner, of course. Winner of the match in 13 minutes and 10 seconds. Sol Ruka wins the match. Is it yours, MF, or is it mine?
It is mine, and I will say this: this was a necessary win. She needed to win this match more than anything else. She needed this, so I'm glad she got the outcome. I'm glad she
But
got the
Laney
win
Reed, give it up
because
for her, though.
oh no, it was a great performance, no doubt in my mind. But again, this was the right outcome. Sol Ruka needed this win because she has a date with destiny. You
Next
know,
week.
coming up, she's got a big championship fight for the title. So yeah, she needed this win. So to get momentum on her side against JC Jane and against Zarya, triple threat for the NXT Women's Title, you need that momentum. Fine matchup, 3 stars, 3 to 3.5 stars. Anthony, it's yours.
3.5 stars for me. I mean, another pleasant surprise. I mean, the outcome was never in doubt. We all knew Sol was going to win this. Sol was going to win this regardless. They could have very easily had her go through Laney in a quick, delicious squash to prove that she is a major threat to JC Jane in the women's championship. I honestly did not think they were going to make Laney look good here, but to my surprise, they made Laney look damn near like $1,000,000 tonight. She hung with Sol Ruka. Laney Reed is a name you need to keep an eye on, folks. I really believe it. So she has more performances like that. Who knows? It, within a year or so, Laney Reed could end up getting some championship gold down the line. She proved she could hang with one of the big guns of this women's division. So 3.5 stars for me. Outcome never in doubt, but credit to HBK and the crew for making Laney look really good here tonight and proving that she was Soruka's equal. All right. Then we had speaking of Ren Sinclair and Kendall Gray, it was Ren Sinclair. She went up against Thea Hale, 3-minute speed tournament match, and the winner of this match will go on to face Fallon Henley for the Women's Speed Championship next week in Houston. Winner of the match in 2 minutes and 55 seconds. Ren Sinclair gets the win here. Okay, now obviously this is by default the worst fight of the night. Wasn't remotely bad. It was just too short. I mean, because that's our biggest gripe about these matches. They're way too short. I am more than pleased with this outcome. I mean, nothing against Thea Hale. Nothing against Thea at all. Thea is amazing. And I love her spunky Spitfire personality. I love that about her. But I think it's high time Ren Sinclair started to get some opportunities. And going in, I'll be honest with you, I thought Thea was going to win this. But no, they gave it to Ren. So easily the biggest win of Ren Sinclair's career. Could it lead to an even bigger win next week? Could Ren Sinclair be the next women's speed champion? That is indeed a possibility, a very realistic possibility. You never know how that could go. And I'll admit it, I've taken a liking to Ren Sinclair. She's got that girl next door kind of thing, and MF knows better than anybody how much I love that. And so I'm very pleased with this outcome here tonight. So go get him, Ren. Go get him next week. So then there was the brawl with Tatum Paxley and Izzy Dame that set Robert Stone to make the big announcement about the steel cage match next week. So my, that's going to be something else. And then an announcement was made about next week's show in Houston. It's the hometown of Booker T, as we all know. And next week, Vic Joseph announced that next week's show will be Booker T Appreciation Night. Well-deserved. Absolutely well-deserved. We all know how much of a riot he is on commentary, and he definitely deserves the moment. So next week, of course, is the big show, the 713 Music Hall in Houston, Texas. And this is going to be the first of what I could call, a couple of, appetizers, PLE like appetizers before Stand and Deliver on April 4th at the Factory in St. Louis. This is the first of those 2 appetizer shows. 2 weeks after that, we're talking about the theater in Madison Square Garden. But let's talk about next week's show. Let's set the table. It'll be Booker T Appreciation Night. 6-man tag team match. All 3 members of the Vanity Project, the Evolve Men's Champion Jackson Drake, and the NXT Tag Team Champions Swipe Right, Brad Baylor and Ricky Smokes. They're going to square off against Los Americanos. That's El Grande Americano, Rayo, and Bravo. 6-man tag match. Hank and Tank will square off against 2 members of Birthright in a number 1 contenders tournament match for the tag team championship. Mr. Stone is putting together a tag team title contender tournament. Whoever wins that tournament will move on to Stand and Deliver to challenge Baylor and Smokes for those tag team championships. Fallon Henley versus Ren Sinclair for the Women's Speed Championship. Tatum Paxley versus Izzy Dame for the Women's North American Championship in the confines of a 15-foot high steel temper cage. And then the main event, JC Jane, Sol Ruka, Zarya, triple threat match for the NXT Women's Championship. It's almost it's an unofficial ladies' night. Outside of those two other matches with the men, but the women are going to take center stage, and they most assuredly deserve it. Main event of the night, tag team action. It was Ethan Page and Ricky Saints squaring off against the North American champion Miles Bourne and the NXT champion Joe Hendry. Ethan Page and Ricky Saints win the match, 11 minutes and 20 seconds. Ethan Page pinning the NXT champion Joe Hendry. 3.25, teetering on 3.5 stars. Championship committee moment. I don't think it's going to be stand and deliver, because I believe the plan for stand and deliver will be Joe Hendry against Tony D. So, and I think we can rule out Houston, because Houston's too stacked. I'm thinking the theater. It's got to be the theater at MSG. I think that's when we do it. I think that's when we'll get Joe Hendry and Ethan Page for the NXT championship one more time. Let's not forget that it was that No Mercy event, No Mercy 2024. Joe Hendry challenged then champion Ethan Page. Trick Williams was the referee. Ethan Page won it that night. Food for thought. 3.25, 3.5, MF, no doubt about it. Championship committee moment for Ethan Page. He pins the NXT champion Joe Hendry. It's not going to be in Houston. It's not going to be at Stand and Deliver. I believe it's the theater at MSG.
Yeah, I agree with that. 3.5 stars, no doubt about it. Solid main event. Big win. Nothing more to say. So yeah, Ethan now possibly maybe the next in line for the title. We'll see. But yeah, so nothing more to say. Anthony, it's yours.
MF, overall thoughts on tonight's show?
Decent show. Another 6.5 out of 10 for me. I really don't think there's anything more for us to say, but yeah, so it's yours.
I'll give it about 6.5, teetering on 7. It was a fairly middle of the road NXT with a slight bit of positive character development. There was some forward moving stuff, but it's also a show you can put off or watch in pieces if you don't have time. The bigger show is going to be next week's show in Houston with the big matches, and that's all we can say on that. So 6.5 to 7 out of 10. So MF, before we wrap it up, what do we got for future content coming up?
Well, the only future content that we have as of right now is, well, unless you want to do about the about a lot of, well, no, Thursday we got our big show. So coming up on Thursday, we have ourselves a big event. It's going to be the NXT. It's actually going to be, we're going to have, obviously, we're going to be talking about championship week. This week is championship week in college basketball. So we'll have the college basketball championship week on Thursday. So yeah, we got another edition of TXN TXN Sports World. We're going to go through that. We're going to go through the NFL, the free agency, what's been going on through that. And we're going to have a lot to talk about with that. And of course, championship week, all the major conferences in championship week as we are getting ready to start the NCAA tournament. So yeah, so that's Thursday and Friday. As always, our big show. We're talking about and on Friday is Cerebral Smack Talk, SmackDown, and TNA, and that's really it. So Thursday night between I'd probably say about 10:30.
That sounds great, but I was thinking about moving the sports show to Friday and moving the SmackDown to Saturday, because I know for a fact that I know you're going to want to talk about that Rey de Reyes event for AAA.
All right. I mean, yeah, that's fine. I'm good with that. So yeah, we could do that for Saturday. Yeah.
Plus, we have a busy night on Thursday anyway, because
yeah, we do.
We got our we got our boys' night out, of course. So
yeah. All right.
Yeah. So So how about Friday night? We do the TXN Sports World. We'll cover the NFL free agency and the championship week. And Saturday we'll do SmackDown with Cerebral Smack Talk with TNA, SmackDown, and then I know because I had this feeling that you were going to want to talk about that Ray to Reyes event. So because I know you've been promoting it. So, but we could talk about it after the show though. So take that with the grain of salt there, folks. So but we're definitely going to have those shows. So no doubt about it. So with that being said, I will put the bow on this edition of Ridiculously Raw. We want to thank you all so very much for tuning in as always. You know what? Why don't we just do it on Thursday? Yeah, we can certainly do that on Thursday. Why not? We'll do the TXN Sports World on Thursday night at 10:30, and we will talk about NFL free agency and championship week. Friday night we'll do the Cerebral Smack Talk with Friday night TNA Impact and Friday night SmackDown, and we'll just do that. We'll just go with that.
You sure? Because I mean, I'm willing to push it. I can push it back. That's no issue there.
Oh, okay.
We could do
All right.
we could do Friday. Yeah, we could do Friday, Saturday. That's fine.
Oh, cool. Okay. I just wanted to be sure. So all right. So Friday night we will do we'll do TXN Sports World with the NFL with the notable moves of NFL free agency, including a very surprising turn of events. And of course, we'll also cover the championship week, the ACC tournament for MF, the Big East tournament for me, and the other conference tournaments. We'll run down who's in so far, and then from there, Saturday night, MF will have it right around 10:30. The Cerebral Smack Talk, SmackDown, TNA, and time permitting, the Ray to Reyes event. And any word on Selection Sunday yet, MF? Our Selection Sunday special. Any word on that yet?
It's gonna have to be later in the night because I thought I was gonna be able to get out in time, but no, they pushed me back. So it's gonna be around 10 o'clock.
All right. Yep, 10 p.m. Sunday night. And then Sunday night at 10 p.m., it will be our annual Selection Sunday special. We break down the brackets. We'll let you know who's in, who's seeded, the matchups, and we'll run down who we think will ultimately cut down the nets. So a lot of great content to look forward to. So until Friday night, for TXN Sports World, right back here on the Tone 25. This is Anthony Florio here for good old MF Michael Fletcher, and in spirit, the phenom Michael Bullock, and of course, always and forever, our first lady, the Twisted Angel Dee Dee Woodson. You know the routine, everybody. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah. Throw it up Fortune 4 style. Bye for now, my friends. God bless. Be good to each other. Have a blessed rest of your week. And until Friday night for TXN Sports World, you have been watching Ridiculously Raw right here on the Tone 25 on YouTube and streaming.com. And remember, my friends, no matter what anyone tells you, beyond anything else, wrestling is indeed actually real. For everybody who has been a part of this one, for now, Anthony Florio, so long, and bye, everybody, bye.